real. The fatal attraction that's holding me fast. How can I escape its irresistible grasp? Can't keep my eyes from the circling sky. Tongue-tied and twisted, just an earthbound misfit. Find my way home, unladen, empty, and turned to stone. A sole intention, it's learning to fly. Condition grounded, but determined to try. Can't keep my eyes from the circling skies. Tongue-tied and twisted, just an earth.
Mixtures rich. Propellers fully forward. Flaps set. 10 degrees. Gauges and suction check. Transponder set. Recheck. Filters. Check those. Generator on.
Across the clouds I see my shadow fly. Out of the corner of my watering eye, I dream unthreatened by the morning light. Could blow this soul right through the roof of the night. There's no sensation to compare with this. Suspended animation, state of bliss. Can't keep my mind from the circling sky. Tongue-tied and twisted, just an earthbound distant eye.
weightlessness. How do these NAS holes pull off this illusion? Well, we know it's a parabolic maneuver done in an airplane. And if you don't like big words, the plane goes up, then the plane goes down. People inside go floaty. On the way down, of course. They call it a zero-G maneuver. That's a misnomer, but I'm not going to get into that. Let's take a look from the cockpit. Anyway, let's check out another cockpit perspective of the parabolic maneuver.
Yeah, your airspeed's good. Got it. It works. Look at that. Do it again. That was fun.
So now we know why they need the harness and wire set up in the fake station. So they don't do what the pen was doing and smack the camera with their faces. That sure would be funny though. But there's got to be something else. There's got to be more to it.
In the early days of space exploration, NASA developed a technique to recreate zero gravity, the notorious vomit comet. Because the weightless effect of microgravity is nothing more than a continuous freefall, it's possible to simulate it by flying an aircraft in a huge arc or parabola, which, for short periods of time, allow those on board to float as though in space. But the stomach-churning ride could spell trouble for some people.
Okay, so it seems pretty official. That's how they fake weightlessness, or zero-G. But it doesn't seem like they could do it for very long. The morons float, crash around, plop to the floor eventually. It's safe to say the wire harness prevents the astronauts from going thud during the climb back up. But why is the climb back up never obvious? Their arms and clothes should shift downward during the climb. We thought about it for about a half a second, and then it just hit us like a freight train. If I were the director of this hoax, I would solve this problem by filming the astrotards upside down. And that way when the plane climbs up, instead of the astrotards sinking, the astrotards are perceived to be floating up, and when it dives, they settle back down to the middle. Because 1, that's the effect of the maneuver, and 2, we still have the harness for insurance. And let's not forget the props, like a microphone being passed around, a necklace, or like more recently a football. Take a look at this retard with the hairdryer fro.
And they know exactly where I am, and they go, Mom, you're going over Australia. So
Join me.
it's pretty fun to be up here now where they know where I am. And also when I get home.
Health implications of that scare you?
I won't say they scare me, but I'll tell you that I take them very, very seriously in that we exercise, about almost 2 hours a day, which I'll say I'm not...
I've always heard that it was filmed upside down, but I never thought about why. Well, there you have it. It's mainly for the upswing. But what always made me scratch my head was the time/length of the ISS interviews. Can they possibly maintain zero-G for so long? But first, let's go over why the interior is easily faked. The fake station itself is a cylindrical object. In case that word was too big for you nassholes out there, it's a tube. You know what else is a tube? No, not your boyfriend's dildo. Well, yeah, but that's not my point. Focus. A plane. Okay? A plane is one big tube. So they dress this plane, the inside of it, with props and or green screen to make it look like the fake station. Now that I got that out of the way, can a pilot maintain the right angle of descent for a lengthy fake station interview? Let me explain how the maneuver works in layman terms. The pilot climbs up, that builds momentum. Your body in the plane now has an upward momentum. When the plane starts to dive back down, that momentum or inertia is still there. So naturally, with your body still going upward and the plane now going downward, the plane is going downward faster than you and before you. So it gives the illusion that you're floating. Now, I don't know how else to articulate this any simpler than that, if that's even a word, a simpler word, any more simple than that, but I hope you get it. Well, I take that as a yes. They can maintain the maneuver for a long time. I didn't see any cuts in there, did you? Nah, I didn't think so. So, let's talk about the floaty props. The prop is always there to seal the deal, to really drive the illusion home. When the plane climbs, it looks like it's simply going up. And when the plane goes back down, it seems to just float there. It's perfect. It's a perfect deception. But did you notice the ridiculous hair and the fact that her face looked like it was going to pop, it was so flushed? Here's a tip, nassholes. Use makeup. Now, I can't wear dangly jewelry where I work because of safety precautions and protocol, and this sack of shit is supposed to be in space? Are you kidding me? The necklaces and dangly jewelry are not a coincidence. Now, if this were real, they wouldn't be allowed to wear them, or there would be a rule saying you have to keep them tucked in at all times. Now, imagine if a little trinket became lodged in a port or a door, or a sensitive piece of electronics or equipment. The floating jewelry is not a coincidence. Take a look. Here we go again. I don't know about you, but I could actually see the pressure building in her eyes and her beet red face. These morons are upside down. The deception is so obvious now that I'm embarrassed that I ever fell for it to begin with. Oh wait, I was brainwashed since childhood. Embarrassment suddenly turns to anger. In conclusion, just in case anyone didn't get the gist of it, we've been squabbling over how they do it for some time now. We've got the 0G airplane maneuver, the parabolic maneuver. We've got the upside down trick. Of course, we've got the green screen and the weird too much hairspray hairdryer trick. Well, showstoppers are here to put an end to this bullshit right here, right now. They use all of it. So all the infighting over this subject, cut it out. It's settled. They use all of it. So we recently made a video about how NASA fakes the weightlessness on the ISS, and it just dawned on me that I forgot something. We're not perfect. We do forget things. So I'm sure some of you want to know how they fake the floating water bubble trick. That seems like a tough one until a few years back I stumbled on to this. Now, did those balls look familiar to you? I'm sure they looked a little stiff, but you can adjust the mixture to get a softer, more gelatinous type of look. I'm sure some of you aren't convinced yet, so let's take another look. Okay, so now remember, they're performing a parabolic maneuver. They're on the way down. Knucklehead is cued to squeeze it out of the bag. It's pre-packaged in the bag with the right mixture, Now, that type of water gel looks about the consistency of this water mixture about to be made by this woman. So let's take a look, and you tell me if it would look similar in the parabolic maneuver. And if you're impressed by the food coloring, I really don't know what to tell you about that.
So the first step is to take your 1 cup of drinking water and 1 gram of sodium alginate and pour it in. Then take your hand mixer and make sure these ingredients are properly incorporated. Once you're confident that they're properly incorporated, set the mixture aside for 15 minutes to ensure that there are no air bubbles. After 15 minutes, your sodium alginate solution should be ready. So the next step is to take 5 grams of calcium lactate and add it to your 4 cups of water. Then mix well. You want to make sure the calcium lactate is completely dissolved. Once it's dissolved, take your curved spoon and scoop up some of the sodium alginate solution. Then, ever so gently, plop it into the calcium lactate bath. You should see it form into a ball right away. You can repeat the process a couple more times, but just make sure not to crowd the bath. I see them forming. Then, ever so gently, stir this solution for about 3 minutes. After 3 minutes have passed, take a slotted spoon and very carefully lift out your water bubbles and put them just in a bath full of regular water to stop the reaction. And there you have it, your edible water bottles. And just so you can see, the inside of these are liquid. And when you're all done, don't forget to reward yourself with a drink.
Well, there you have it, folks. Water balls in space. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Don't troll now. We welcome constructive criticism, but if you're going to be nasty about it, we will block you. Just after we insult you back.
Don't forget the Alex Jones bitmate. They claimed he's not a shill and we used all old footage. Well, here is a clip from February 7th, 2017. Enjoy, trolls. Cheers.
What did Trump get from Goldman Sachs? 0.
What did Trump get from Goldman Sachs? 0. What did Trump get from Goldman Sachs? 0.
What did Trump get from George Soros? 0.
What did Trump get from George Soros? 0. What did Trump get from George Soros? 0.
What did Trump get from George Soros? 0.
What did Trump get from other big mega banks like JP Morgan? 0, 0, 0, 0. He did appoint 3 people from Goldman Sachs out of thousands of employees they have because they were anti-globalist and knew where the bodies were buried.
Got to listen, got to do it now. Life is looking good. Looking good. Looking good for you and me.
2, 1, 0. All engine running. This is Tranquility Base. The Eagle has landed. Jesus H. Christ. Houston. We're on the fucking moon. Over.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy that. We cannot believe you are on the fucking moon. Repeat, cannot fucking believe it. Over.
The moon, for Christ's sake. The moon. Over.
You're cleared to hook up lunar equipment conveyor to walk, fucking walk on the moon. Over.
I'm descending the ladder. See the Earth. The entire planet Earth. Love of Christ.
We read you, Tranquility. Over.
On the bottom rung of the ladder. Just one more step and I'm...
Tranquility.
Holy living fuck. Are you fucking believing this? Over.
We read you. Over.
I abso-fucking-lutely am standing on the surface of the fucking moon. Am talking to you from the surface of the fucking moon. Jesus H. Christ in a chicken basket.
Holy shit, Tranquility.
Holy mother of fuck. The fucking moon. Over.
You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds! Well, if I was you, I'd do something about it. I would get up and redeem myself in the eyes of my father, my maker, and my coach. So let's get those nerds!
Okay, so Boeing's trying to make a fashion statement with blue spacesuits. The speaker openly and honestly admits this. Makes sense, since the suits are costumes anyway. The suit has to evolve with the people's idea of what is cool. Hollywood, aka the space industry, understands this. I mean, if Batman were still wearing the old tights and underwear, well, let's just say he'll no longer strike fear in the hearts of criminals everywhere. So naturally we go from this to this. Let's watch.
When you think of spacesuits, fashion probably isn't the first thing that comes to mind. Sure, they've done their job protecting astronauts, but spacesuits also have been big and bulky and sometimes bright orange. Well, if you've been waiting for the next thing in space fashion...
Space fashion. Space fashion.
Get ready, because Boeing is about to
blow your mind.
Meet Boeing Blue. Boeing's new suit is designed for astronauts traveling in the Boeing Starliner, a new crew capsule that will start transporting astronauts to the International Space Station next year. Instead of the big, awkward fishbowl helmets from previous designs, the suit has hoods with pressurized zippers, which are lighter and also give astronauts a wider field of view. The new gloves also work on touch screens, which isn't available on current suits. It's totally legit.
Totally legit.
Totally.
It's totally...
You're a fucking piece of shit, you're no good, and you're a worthless fucking person to humanity. You contribute nothing. Go back to your fucking rock that you live under and never fucking come out again, you worthless piece of shit!
I don't know about you, but when someone tells me it's legit, I tend to be a bit skeptical. He didn't mention any significant technological upgrades that we don't already have. Some fancy zippers, more visibility in the helmet. That's debatable, but okay. Touchscreen gloves, those have been around since the touchscreen, or shortly thereafter. I'm not impressed, but they sure do look cool. And how could these helmets have a wider field of view than the old fishbowls? I guess if you speak with enough confidence, everyone will believe you.
Hear that?
That's nothing. Which is what I, as a speaker at today's conference, have for you all. I have nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. Zippo. Nothing smart. Nothing inspirational. Nothing even remotely researched at all. I have absolutely nothing to say whatsoever. And yet, through my manner of speaking, I will make it seem like I do. Like what I am saying is brilliant.
Like what I am saying is brilliant.
And maybe, just maybe, you will feel like you've learned something.
He also forgot to mention that the boots were made by Reebok. You know, just in case you want to go for a lunar jog.
Boeing Blue is only designed to be worn inside the crew capsule, so it won't protect astronauts from hazards outside the capsule like intense radiation. But it does protect them in case there's a fire or a sudden depressurization in the Starliner. Even though today's launch suits are effective, they're also bulky, puffy, and often plain uncomfortable. But Boeing Blue is a step up. It's around 5 kilograms lighter and features more fabric around the joints for added motion. It also has fewer zippers, which means it's easier to get in and out of, and the fabric keeps the suit at a cooler temperature too. Also, let's be honest, who wouldn't want to be seen around the launch pad in one of these things? Like, I don't want to go to space, but I do want to, like, walk around a rocket wearing this suit. But at the end of the day, Boeing Blue has to do more than just look cool. It has to keep the astronauts safe. Before they're certified for launch, the suits will undergo extensive testing to make sure they can withstand even the toughest emergency scenarios. But if all goes well, we're going to have some seriously cool-looking astronauts.
This guy is telling us that they have to wear the suits inside in case shit happens. That makes sense, being that this is the deadliest fictional environment in existence. So shouldn't the astrotards on the ISS be wearing suits instead of khakis and polos? If I were in the deadliest environment known to man, I certainly wouldn't be wearing khakis and a polo shirt. The suit really isn't the most important subject of this video in my opinion. The speaker abruptly crashes into the subject of how Earth got its water and how the Earth and Moon were created. I call bullshit on everything he says about that. But let's listen.
Back on the ground, 2 new studies from the journal Nature are helping us answer questions about how the Earth formed, how we got our water, and how we got the Moon. Until now, scientists thought the Earth was made from lots of different kinds of meteorites, including water-packed meteorites called carbonaceous chondrites. We used to think that these watery rocks showed up right at the end of Earth's formation, where they delivered most of our water in a big rush.
So let's talk about water. I've never found a rock with water in it, ever. How much water could a rock possibly have in it, even if it could contain water? The Earth is mostly water. Rocks don't hold water. Sponges do, and other absorbent materials. Not rocks. Just ask SpongeBob. He'll tell you.
Good one.
There's no way rocks delivered all this water. That would give us more land than water, and that's simply not the case. Whether they came in fast or over a long period of time is irrelevant. And please don't troll me saying it's frozen. We already have a name for that, and it's called ice. The speaker sounds intelligent, but if you simplify what he's saying, you'll realize it's all speculation, and even contradictory.
This theory wasn't perfect, and it also didn't explain the Moon. Most astronomers think the Moon formed when a huge Mars-sized rock crashed into the Earth. Now that makes sense, but it also means the Moon should have a different composition than our planet. It should look like a combination of Earth rocks and rocks from the impactor. But it doesn't. Earth and the Moon are made of almost exactly the same stuff. But according to these new studies, the Earth wasn't formed by all these carbonaceous chondrites and other meteorites. Instead, it was mostly formed by meteorites called enstatite chondrites. These rocks get their name because they are high in the mineral enstatite, which is magnesium, silicon, and 3 oxygen atoms. They're also pretty rare.
Pretty rare.
Pretty rare. Pretty rare.
They're also pretty rare.
I really don't want to watch the rest of this video, because frankly, it sucks, and it's sickening. If you want to watch the rest of it, it's not hard to find. Just type in space tard talking out of his butthole. To say the Earth is made up of something that is so rare we only have 200 samples of it is irrational to say the least. 200 samples out of an entire Earth. Think of all the different rocks you can find alone just strolling on the beach or on a nature hike. This guy is brainwashed. Let's focus on water though. Stay with me while I unpack this. Let's take a look at these carbonaceous chondrites, shall we?
Hi, I'm Celine Shaw from King Edward's in Edgbaston, and I'm here for a week on work experience. I've chosen this Allende meteorite, this small fragment, for the object of the month. It was the largest carbonaceous chondrite ever found on Earth, roughly the size of a car. and it was spotted a giant fireball falling over the Mexican state of Chihuahua on the 8th of February of 1969. As it exploded, it scattered into thousands of fusion-crusted individuals. As you can see, there's the fusion crust here. It's got like a glossy finish, and this would have formed because as the fireball was falling, it was falling at great speeds, say about 10 miles per second, and this would have produced a lot of heat and melted the exterior. As it exploded, it was dispersed over quite a large area, and there was an extensive search for all the pieces. It was actually described as the most studied meteorite in all of history. It was important for research purposes because of its rarity, as it accounts for less than 5% of all the chondrites on Earth. And also, inside, there's lots of calcium-rich inclusions, which are among the oldest objects in the solar system. And unlike other chondrites, it doesn't include any iron or nickel, so it's quite unusual from that aspect. This chondrite would have been formed in the solar system a few million years ago, and it would have been formed by the accumulation of dust and grit particles all clumping together. And as you can see, in the internal structure, as it's been cut and polished, it's more visible. There's some dark chondrules and also some white-coloured calcium and magnesium-rich inclusions. And also there's some smaller millimetre-sized chondrules, which are only found in meteorites, not in Earth rock.
Did anyone see any water in that rock, on that rock, anywhere near that rock, or even a bottle of water in the same room with that rock? Tell me the water dried up, and I'll say, where was the space or pores where the water had to be? We let these clowns get away with this nonsense. I learned the most remarkable thing about water while making this video. Our research seemed determined without a shadow of a doubt that mankind can't make water. Yes, you heard me correctly. We cannot make water. Combining oxygen and hydrogen only produce an explosive gas mixture. Type in creating water, and you get vids that start out with people or titles suggesting they will make water, and they always end up with an explosive gas mixture and no water. Take a look.
Today I'd like to show you a quick demo for mixing hydrogen and oxygen to make water. Kids love it in class, so unfortunately you can't do it in slow motion, but you'll definitely get a nice jump out of them.
Right. And then, Amanda's, you're going to take the cover off.
Yeah, not yet. Wait till it's lit, right? Yeah.
And it makes a really loud noise, Amanda.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll find that every search or video made about water shows that it has to be extracted. It can't be made by man. So this begs the question, even if the water got here by so-called space rocks, how was the water made to begin with? It can't be explained because it can't be done. Not in a laboratory, not anywhere. And these fools run around calling themselves gods. Well, make water, almighty moron. Do it. Make water. They have us pondering how the water got here when the question is simply a distraction from the only important one. How was the water made? Or better yet, who made it? God made it. Nothing fancy. Only God knows. Stop the charade. Your pseudoscience stops here, right at Shillstopper's door.
And I'm in denial. And it don't take no x-ray to see right through my smile. I know I'll be on the go. And it ain't no drink out there that can numb my soul. Oh no.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Are you ready?
Station is ready.
Space Center Houston, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Hey, get a load of this one!
Station, this is astronaut Leland Melvin here with NASA social participants at Space Center Houston. How do you hear me?
I can't hear you!
Hey, Leland, got you loud and clear.
You guys sound great.
Gay!
So, Hey, Peggy, my former commander, but you'll be taking that commander role pretty soon, so congratulations. And Shane, you guys are doing a great job. We're going to take a few questions. So you guys ready to queue up for some questions?
Absolutely. We're always ready.
All right, here we go.
Peggy, Shane, I know you can't see me. Well, let me get this up a little higher. How you doing up there?
Look at that.
You're up there somewhere, right? This is Tony Saragusa from Yahoo.
One goes, baby.
And obviously the first boring question is going to be your prediction for the game that my producer told me I have to ask. I would never ask that, but we would like to know that down here on Earth.
Well, I'm from Atlanta, so I'm picking the Falcons 30-24.
How sweet is that, Tom?
Straight up, or are you going to give the 3 points?
Straight up, come on.
Straight up, okay. The second question, I went, being from New Jersey, I had a couple of people on Twitter and Facebook and all those things ask me, and the majority of the guys were from New Jersey, and they want to know, how do you guys call your bookie actually to put your bets in?
Make them an offer they can't refuse.
And if you lose, how do they collect?
Where's the money?
We'll keep that a secret.
And that's pretty much it. Thank you for inviting us all having a great time, and hopefully you get back to your family safe when your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Space Station. It's Caroline here from the BBC. I don't know how I followed the comedian. Maybe it's the proper questions that the BBC ask. Just going to ask you, I'm kidding, just going to ask you, Space Station, whether you've got control of that big lump of metal and whether you can guarantee you have the best seat in the house come Sunday above the stadium in Houston.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Well, I wish we could park it above the stadium and just kind of watch from that perspective, but we can't do that. We're going to be moving at 17,500 miles an hour, whether we want to or not. But we will have the game live up here, so we'll get to watch it.
We talking about a bunch of nothing, like just a bunch of bullshit. That's what people like.
And just one final question from me. I wonder if you could give us a Houston, we have a Super Bowl, and show us your touchdown celebration.
All right, Houston, we have a Super Bowl.
I'm a ready diamond.
Thank you very much.
These people in the space program, nassholes, I call them.
Hi, Robert from collectspace.com. So you mentioned that you're going to watch the game live. I understand it's after we were supposed to go to sleep, so that means you'll be staying up. So are you preparing any Super Bowl snacks for the game?
Super Bowl snacks. So I haven't thought too much about it yet, but we'll come up with something special. Luckily, though, we did get the morning off after, since it's going to be the middle of the night.
Hi, I'm a little shorter. Hi, I'm Ann Brennan with Ann's Running Commentary. My readers are all about looking for the next workout. So my question for you is, how are you working out in space, and what's your favorite workout that you get to do up there?
Fapping, man. All right, we have some great machines up here. One is called ARED, Advanced Resistive Exercise Device, and it's a machine that we can do pretty much everything you can do on Earth, from squats to bench press to triceps to upright rows. Whatever you want to do, you can do it on that machine. And we can carry loads up to about 600 pounds, so definitely more than I will reach. And Peggy will probably approach that limit, but I won't. But it's a great machine. We work out about an hour a day on that. And then we have an hour of cardio or so a day. So we have a stationary bike, which is to my left that you can't see, and we have a treadmill as well. So Peggy usually does all three of those. We call it a triathlon for her workout every day. I usually do one of the aerobics and the ARED device for my workouts every day.
Do you even lift, bro?
Hi, I'm Shannon Younger, and I write for a lot of families and a lot of kids who play sports, and I was wondering if you could tell me how you think spaceflight is a lot like a team sport.
Well, teamwork is actually incredibly important to us at NASA in general. It's important in small groups like the group that we have up here, but more importantly, it's actually fantastic.
That's fantastic. No, that's not fantastic. That's real life. Right.
That teamwork is very, very special to us. I think also athletics provide you a way to test yourself physically and mentally, and which I think is good training for jobs like we have.
In case you haven't heard, the latest disaster for the rest of the universe is that the United States is going to go to Mars.
Hello, I am Cyan Proctor from South Mountain Community College, and I want to know if you could play football on the moon or Mars, which would you choose?
Well, I've always wanted to go to the moon, so I think I'd pick the moon. Just because that's when I was a little kid, grew up watching the Apollo astronauts walking on the moon, and I always had that as a dream, so I would choose that.
Fuck. Oh, my.
I'd vote for Mars.
Real, be your head?
Hello, I am PR Christina. I do social media and things like that. And my question is, what has been the most unexpected thing that has happened to you since you have left Earth?
I done came up, hold up.
That's a good question. We're having to think about that one. A lot of the stuff we did expect and we were trained for. I'm trying to. We had a couple malfunctions early on. As soon as Peggy and her crew arrived, we had a little malfunction with the bathroom, and that was probably the biggest unexpected thing. And it took all of our work about a whole day to make sure that got fixed.
Any embarrassing stories you want to share with the rest of us down here?
No, with that situation, we just had a big nasty leak in the system, so we had to take care of it.
Hi, Valerie Stimmick here. Good afternoon. I know you just passed over Patagonia, which is beautiful from our view down here on Earth, but I'm curious what your favorite site is from orbit.
Actually, Patagonia is one of my favorite sites. It's incredible, but it's actually very hard to actually get good views because it tends to be weathered in a lot. So when we do get a great view, then we get to take some really phenomenal pictures or get to see the glaciers and the beautiful different colored lakes in the area. The Caribbean is also incredibly beautiful with the colors. You can actually see the fingers of the coral reefs underneath, and that's just stunning as well. I also love the differences in like northern Africa, the peach color of the sands. It makes the whole light coming in the station kind of glow. And every country's got some unique aspects to it that make it very, very beautiful. So it's just fun no matter where you are looking out the window.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
How you doing? My name is Marty Cannon. I'm a teacher and a coach in Lafayette, Louisiana. And my question's about your nutritional needs on a daily basis compared to when you're back on Earth. So what is your diet like now compared to what you would usually have back on Earth?
No kidding, this is my podcast.
Yeah, great question. And it's a huge part of our health up here. If we don't eat the proper amount of calories and work out like I mentioned before, then we're going to lose bone mass, bone density, and muscle mass. So we don't want any of those things to happen. So to help us alleviate those problems, we're working out and we're trying to eat. They want me to eat about 3,000 calories a day. I'm eating all the time, and I can't get to 3,000. So I'm trying, but it's really hard. I think our portions are a little smaller up here, but I just feel like I'm eating all the time. So we're just not getting the exact calorie count that they're wanting me to get. So far, I haven't lost any mass. We have a mass measurement system up here where about every month we measure ourselves. And so far, I'm kind of holding steady, so that's a good thing.
Shut the fuck up!
Hi, Peggy and Shane. This is Herb Baker. I actually just retired from NASA, but I can't stay away, obviously. So my question is about the Bigelow expandable module. Have you guys spent any time in it, and is it passing all of its tests?
This guy is unfucking believable.
Actually, Shane was in it once very early on in his mission, and we're going to go in tomorrow, as a matter of fact. We're doing some testing in there and actually trying to assess if that type of hardware is going to be valuable for us in future missions, whether it's building habitats on planets or adding additional modules to space stations like this one.
Just feel like exploding.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Becker with the Texas Medical Center, and my question is, what are you doing on the International Space Station to help advance human health here on Earth?
I have no fucking idea.
Actually, we're doing a number of different scientific investigations that I hope will also contribute to human health on Earth as well. We're doing fluid shift studies, looking at how the fluids in our bodies shift and make changes in our bodies. In particular, we're concerned about some of the vision changes that we've seen in astronauts, and we're trying to better understand that. Another study that I'm in is looking at oxidative damage as a result of being in this environment, a microgravity environment, to look at long-term effects on the potential for cardiovascular disease. Using microgravity as a variable in the experimentation allows us to try and better understand some of the variables that we see on the ground. And hopefully those will contribute to future prevention or understanding of disease on Earth as well.
Now you can call bullshit on these phony, long-nosed stories with the bullshit button.
Good afternoon, Shane, Peggy. Want to ask and speak on a broad discussion about what you're doing aboard the International Space Station and how that is going to help us go to Mars.
Oh, yeah. We're going to go to Mars.
Well, we're doing a lot of things, of course, trying to get there. All of our systems, our life support systems here, we're testing those out now for potentially going to places like Mars. We're a couple hundred miles off the Earth right now. Some of the systems aren't super critical for us. Some are, and we're glad they're working. But we'd have a lot of redundancy on things that are really critical. But if you go to a place like Mars, which is millions and millions of miles away from the Earth, you really got to have those systems perform perfectly every time. So we're kind of hammering out a lot of those issues now with the regeneration of liquid, whether that's urine or sweat or whatever it is on board that we can create into drinking water, things like that, are kind of the technology we're going to take as we go towards Mars here in the next few decades.
Hi, I'm Callie McPherson, and my question is, what was your first night in space like?
Now, boys, don't get into any trouble while Mommy and Daddy are gone.
Let's see. I don't remember a whole lot of it. We got up here kind of in the middle of the night, so we had a few hours of work to do, and then we kind of just went to bed. Sleeping's a lot different up here, as you might imagine, but I really enjoyed it. I think Peggy sleeps very well up here as well, so it's not a bad thing for us. We have a little small bedroom. It's kind of like a small closet where you can get in there, and that's kind of your private space, and that's where you put your sleeping bag on the wall and go to bed every night.
You gotta fight for your right.
Hi, my name is Jessica Bolaños, aka Fancy Capitalist with Good Sparrow. And my question is, what is your favorite thing to do in space?
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
There are so many things to do up here that I just truly, honestly, really enjoy doing. I love doing all the scientific research. Being a scientist by background, I really love doing all the hands-on work that's required of us. Shane and I have had an opportunity to do spacewalk already, and that's a very interesting mental and physical challenge that I enjoy very much as well. And the view gets even better when you're outside in a spacesuit. And of course, every day, like I mentioned, the views of Earth are incredible and beautiful and so varied that it's impossible to get tired of looking out the window. So everything that we do up here is fun, and just being in zero gravity is so novel and unique that it every day feels special, and it really is.
Special, special, everyone is special.
Hi, Shane. Hi, Peggy. This is Kate Baker from the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America. First of all, this is so cool. Second of all, we would like to know as writers, because we're always looking for new information for our stories, what is it like when you come back to Earth? What is the adjustment like for the gravity?
I'll tell him to say when he sees you, hey, get a load of fatso there.
So Peggy will have a lot more experience than I do on this. I had a shuttle flight earlier in my career. This is a lot different, where I'm going to be up here for about 6 months. So my body will adjust a little differently. But it took me a few days, 2 or 3 days after my shuttle flight for my kind of my equilibrium to kind of settle out and for me to feel pretty decent. I think hopefully it'll be about the same, just because of the workout program we're on is going to help a lot. And I'm hoping it's not going to be a week or two, but we'll see. Everybody's a little bit different.
And some folks get sick coming uphill, getting and being in space, and some folks get sick going downhill, and I'm the kind that gets sick going downhill, so returning home for me is a lot more challenging than coming up to space. I adapt more quickly coming up instead of going down. But it does last for several days. The first 24 hours after I returned on my first flight, I was pretty sure I needed to go back to space because I didn't really want to be on Earth anymore.
Good morning, Peggy. Good morning, Shane. My name is Sandy Max. I'm from Milwaukee, Milwaukee PBS and also radio, WKLH. Thrilled to be part of NASA Social, and this is like the ultimate long-distance call. So thank you for your time today. We are all just super crazy excited to be here. And the fun thing about social media is I asked a lot of people like, well, I'm your eyes and ears. What would you want to ask? So my friend Harvey wanted to know, what is the brightest light, natural or man-made, that you can see from the ISS that's on Earth?
I don't know.
Sorry, we're trying to figure that one out. That's a great question. Most of the big bright lights are in big cities, so there's nothing that stands out to me that I've seen that I'm like, oh yeah, that's that light or whatever. But it's all man-made, of course. The city as a whole kind of looks like, the bigger ones are brighter than others. Sorry, I can't answer that one completely.
I'm kind of proud of myself. Stumped the ISS astronauts.
You go, girl. You go, girl.
Buenos dias, ISS. Me llama Eduardo Riskoski. Good morning, ISS.
Good morning.
I'm blessed to have the last question of the day here, but first I want to mention that I grew up in a small town north of Pittsburgh where another football dynasty happens to reside, and I played high school football, but soon learned when I graduated that sports was not for me, and in the aerospace and sciences were, and I got into that. So I'm a space cadet, and that is the basis for my question, which is the last question today. Last week, NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory photographed a large canyon-shaped hole that opened in the sun's atmosphere. It's spewing a stream of solar wind directly toward Earth and ISS. It is said that such a fast-moving stream is sure to spark Arctic auroras. It arrives today, by the way. My question is, were there any cautions taken by ISS in front of its arrival?
I don't have time for this bullshit.
On board the space station, the ground will notify us if we need to take precautions, go to some of the safe areas on board the station, safer areas, more shielded areas if we need to. The auroras can be incredibly beautiful when they show up, so there's the positive side of that. We haven't seen any great ones on this mission, but I have seen some on previous missions, and they're amazing to see.
All right, Shane and Peggy, that wraps it up. We are so proud of what you're doing to help advance the civilization and inspire our next generation. Thank you so much, and really enjoy the game. And Peggy, if you could, send Shane on a down and out. Thank you, guys. We really appreciate what you do. Godspeed. Have a great rest of your mission. Thanks, everyone.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
And from Mission Control Houston, thanks for all the participants there at Space Center Houston. Really fun event, great questions. And Station, we are now resuming operational audio communication.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off, man. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is take the chains off. All we want to do is break the chains off, man. All we want to do is be free. All we want to do is